Hello folks. It's been a while since we did a driving ramble, so I thought we would get back into it. Yeah, so let's see, what is there to talk about? I guess I should start with just sort of updating, you know, about where I'm at with my collection, with watches in general. Because clearly everyone watching this wants to know how I feel about my collection at all times. I'm actually wearing the black quartz Seamaster. I was a little inspired by Don Haynes's video of his new beautiful Grand Seiko, which is a quartz. And you know, but by the way, Don, if you're watching this, you were saying that the Seiko quartz movement, it's very clear. It stops and then it goes and it goes. Like each second is a full stop. And I don't know if this is also a high-end quartz movement, but I don't notice any. It seems very strong. I mean, it seems like it does the same thing. I don't have any other quartz watches right now. I don't have any lower end, cheaper quartz, so I can't speak for them. But this one seems to have that full, clean stop. But I had never noticed what you were talking about before, that some quartz movements don't do that. Anyways, so yeah, I was inspired by Don to give this watch. I've kind of put this on the back burner because I love this watch, but you know, I was considering it as one of the watches I was going to put up for sale, and I haven't done so, and I'm really torn on it, so I'm not going to put it up for sale for now. It's such a comfortable, cool, simple piece, and I don't have any other black bezel, black dial dive watches. I mean, this is such a classic look. It doesn't look at all like a Rolex, but it's the same basic black on black as the Submariner, as the Orient Saturation Diver, which I do still have, but I haven't quite sold. I got a inquiry about that yesterday, and the guy was asking if it had been pressure tested, and I was like, not in the last few years, but I don't dive with it. And he's like, okay, not interested. And I just, you know, I get it. I get wanting your watches immaculate, but you know, if he wants a immaculate, pressure tested, the works, just buy it new. Don't look for it used. You know, used watches. Most people that wear dive watches don't even dive, so it doesn't matter to them. So why would you expect that it would be pressure tested? Anyways, I found it a little irritating, mainly because I want to sell the thing, and it's been, you know, the Orient Saturation Diver. I don't know if it's the yen, but the price has just gone way down on that. They're actually $950 new now. You can buy the new one. I'm talking about gray market, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they're $950 out there. And when I bought mine, I bought it for about $700. And that was sort of the going rate for a used Orient Saturation Diver. Because new, they were more like $1,200 or $1,500. But they've really gone down, and I think partially because the yen has sort of tanked. I mean, for instance, a couple years ago, the Seiko Sumo was like $550. Now it's like $440 or something like that, new. So it really has dropped quite a bit. So now's a good time to buy Japanese watches, if you're so inclined. But yeah, I bought mine for like $700, and I had to buy an extra link, so it was $725. And I've had mine up. I started at $650, and you know, I got some inquiries, like trade offers, that sort of thing. Nothing that really grabbed me. And now it's down to, I think I have it listed for $600, and not really getting much interest. And it's in pretty good shape. It's not immaculate. It's got some scuffs and so forth. Crystal's fine. So I'm guessing that I'm gonna, if I want to sell it, I'm probably gonna have to sell it for about $500. And so that's a couple $100 less than what the going rate was a couple years ago. So, you know, that's all right. You know, in the end, it would have been me owning it for a few years, or a couple years, for like $100 per year. So that's not a terrible thing. 30 cents a day. But yeah, I was expecting to get at least 600 for this watch, and I might keep it up at that price and then, you know, accept 575 or maybe 550 if somebody offers it. So if anyone's interested, let me know. I did a video of it some months ago. I haven't worn it since, so it's in the same condition. You can get a look at it. It's a great watch, and you know, in some ways, my only problem with it is it's just too big for me. I don't like 45mm watches anymore. My Breitling Blackbird, which is about 44, is as big as I want to go, and 44 is really the cutoff for me. I would consider 45 if it was all black and maybe a little thinner. So there are circumstances, but the Orient Saturation Driver is very thick. I mean, it's a really great watch. It's one of the best dive watches you can get for $1,000 or less. I really think it's comparable to, you know, an Oris Aquas or Oris Diver's Date, that sort of thing. So I'm also I'm going to sell my Oris as well. I'm not wearing it at all. I really like that watch, and you know, if I like lost all my watches, they were stolen or something, and I had to start over again, and I only had like $800 or something like that, I would consider getting an Oris, because I do for that, you know, first half of third tier. The Orises they're great watches. They're really, really nice third tier watches. I tend to like them better than the Seikos and Citizens of the world. I think they just have a, you know, in a way they're like the VW. You know, if we're comparing Japanese cars and European cars, Oris is sort of like the VW of the Swiss world. They're not BMW, they're not Mercedes-Benz, but they might be more like the Mini Cooper, I'd almost say, because Oris has such a unique style to them, and I've always really liked that fact about Oris. They're very, very unique. They don't copy anyone. They just have their own look. So I'm like, as I'm talking myself into keeping the watch. But the thing is that pretty much since getting my Seamasters, I just don't wear them. You know, they don't have a place. And this is like something really important, in my opinion, to understand about watch collecting. And I just had a brief email exchange with Jeffrey McMahon over at Jeffrey McMahon Incorporated. And, you know, like, I feel like because Jeffrey has infamously bought a Seiko Sumo for the 5th time. 5th time, folks. And, you know, one of the things I really respect about you, Jeff, is that you're so open about your neurotic qualities. And that's actually a real gift for people, because most people try to hide that shit. And I'm not saying you should hide. I'm not saying you should be ashamed about it at all. I think it's just refreshing. You know, in a way, it reminds me of our shared favorite comic, Louis C.K., because I think one of the reasons people love him so much, people really love Louis C.K., is that he's a mess, and he's open and he shares it. He's kind of a fat slob, and he makes fun of it, and he brings light to it, and it allows us to look at ourselves with almost kinder eyes, not like in a new age, oh, I'm just fine as I am, but just like, yeah, we're human beings, we're flawed, we're neurotic, we're obsessive, the whole thing. Anyways, back to watches. Jeffrey bought the Sumo for the 5th time. 5th time. And he says, now we'll see if this actually lasts. I hope it does, for your sake, Jeff. But he says that he's loving it more now than he has in the past, and that it really feels right this time. And that could be. That could really, really be. I mean, I used to smoke cigarettes I started in high school, probably 16-ish, 17-ish, and I probably smoked for about 10 years, you know, with a couple, I had a couple of relapses a little later on. But as far as like, well, I forget who said this. Was it? It was like it sounds like a Mark Twain thing. I don't think it was Mark Twain, but somebody said, "Quitting smoking is easy. I do it every day." Right? But there's truth to that, and it's similar. It's related to Jeff's fifth Sumo, in that I used to say that. I just saw somebody bought this Mini Cooper Countryman that I had considered buying, and I think it's the same one. I used to say that you never know, what time is going to click for you. It could be the 27th time you quit smoking, and it literally probably was for me the 27th time or 20th time where I tried and failed, and then eventually, for whatever reason, it clicked. For whatever reason, I think what it comes down to with quitting smoking is you have to want to not, you have to really want to not smoke. You have to say, this is really not worth it. I was having lung issues. It was time. I needed to quit. I had just gotten together with my wife. I don't think we were married yet. And she quit, she smoked too. And she quit much more quickly than I did. But I eventually did it, and it happened. And I guess what I'm saying is that, like, if after the 26th try, you don't give up forever. You don't say, okay, I've tried 26 times. You just have to get up and try again. Now, it's a little bit in reverse with, say, buying a watch, because I do think that, you're not, it's not quitting something, it's adding something. And if something doesn't work, if it doesn't fit, I think there's been some movie stars that have been married to each other, like, I forget who it is, but 3 times, I think. So you'd think that, like, all right, I get, like, being married, getting divorced, and then reconnecting and being like, why, all your stuff is gone. Why did we do this? We're so great together. We just love each other. And then getting married again, and then being like, you know what, all the same crap came back again, get divorced. But a third time? I mean, that seems pretty crazy. And in the same sense that I gotta say that buying a watch 5 times seems pretty nuts to me. But here's the thing, and this is what I was trying to get at, and I'm rambling over the place to get there. But here's the thing, like, it has to be the right context. It has to be, timing is everything, right? You can't, I found this with books. I've bought books, they've sat on my shelves for a long time. Every once in a while I'll pack up a box of books and bring it to a used bookstore, get rid of them. and then I've said, oh, I've been researching books, and I've said, oh, I didn't I used to have that. That looks interesting. I'd like to read that. That just happened to me recently. I have a lot more time now, so I'm actually able to read novels. I'm so excited. I've read several novels already over the last few weeks. I read 7 Eves by Neil Stephenson, and The Martian by Andy Weir, which is being made into a huge movie starring Matt Damon. But actually, maybe I'll do little brief reviews of it. I don't know if people are interested in science fiction reviews. I'm a big fan of science fiction and fantasy. And role-playing games as well. Somebody noticed my role-playing game books behind me when I'm talking, and he asked me to do a video on role-playing games, but I don't know. I'll probably mention it at some point. I'm sure I'll get lots of flack for it because some people have issues with that sort of thing, but they're great. I love role-playing games. I love science fiction and fantasy, the world of imagination. It's like, what's better than that? The play of imagination, the sense of wonder. So I'm at my destination here, so I'm just going to talk for another minute or two. So yeah, going back to that feeling of timing is everything. And I hadn't worn this watch in quite a while, and I was watching Don Haynes' video, and it was sort of like, the main reason I haven't worn this is that I don't connect with quartz. I want to be okay with it being quartz, and it's not a snobby thing. It's just the feeling of, it doesn't have, like some musicians don't like electronic music. They like acoustic music, or maybe amplified but still instruments. But some people have a real hard time with electronic music. I like a lot of electronica, but I get it. I get there's you know, a real violin versus a synthesized violin, and quartz has that feeling. It has that feeling of synthetic, and I know it's not synthetic. I know it's not that, but it's not. You know, an automatic watch, there's a symbiotic quality. It's powered by you, by your movement. So there's something really cool about that. It's a technology that's now outdated, like an LP. I really think it's comparable to LPs and CDs, where the quartz is like the CD, and the LP is the automatic. So, but I guess I was watching Don's video, and I said I should give this watch another chance. So I'm wearing it today, and it has such a nice look and feel to it. There's part of me that's tempted to sell this and get the automatic version. But you know, I probably, you know, this would probably sell for about $1,200, and the automatic version it's around $2,000 right now. So I don't know if I want to pay that $800 difference just so I can have an automatic. And it's also, I have to say, it's nice to be able to have a watch in your box that you can just pick up and put on and not worry about winding and setting and so forth. I don't really mind that, but it's just nice to be able to do that. So maybe this will creep its way back into my rotation. It's a beautiful watch, really classy, but with its own unique flavor to it. Plus, Ray Donovan wears it, which is, you know, how cool is Ray Donovan? I mean, he's doesn't get much cooler than that. So yeah, I think also, you know, just to wrap this up, you know, I was talking about context and timing, and I think that's really, I mean, this should really be a lexicon word. You know, something about the importance of timing or the importance of context, and that sometimes. I'll come up with that later. This, you know, I'll try to figure out a term for that. But that it has to be your collection. Both your collection has to have a configuration that allows for a specific watch to come into the fold, and your mindset also has to be able and ready to embrace it. And maybe that's how it is for Jeff and his Sumo. Who knows? Maybe that's how it'll be for this. That would possibly how it would be for for that Oris Diver's Date if I had a different collection. For a while, for a short period of a few months, that was my best piece. You know, I had all like Japanese watches, and that one broke my cherry with Swiss watches. And so I got that, and then because I stepped it up. And then I started craving a Seamaster. And then when I got the Seamaster, the electric blue, that set a new bar. And the Oris eventually wasn't getting wrist time, because then I got another Seamaster, and eventually I got the Breitlings and so forth. So, yeah, there has to be, the collection has to, you know, a collection's not just an accumulation of watches. For some people it is. They just have a ton of watches. For me, at least, the way I do it, what feels right for me, it has to be, the whole collection has to be, every watch has to have its place. There can't be, I'm a little bit minimalist in this regard. I don't like just having a big pile of watches and then whatever, just whimsically picking out whatever I want for that day. Some people are fine with that, and I'm fine with them being fine with that. You know, in a way, I'm a little jealous. It's easier, I think, to just be okay with whatever. But for me, the collection has to have both a wholeness to it, but every watch within it has to have its own unique niche. All right, on that note, I'm going to end this. Hello, folks. It's been a while since we did a driving ramble, so I thought we would get back into it. Yeah, so let's see, what is there to talk about? I guess I should start with just sort of updating, you know, about where I'm at with my collection, with watches in general, because clearly it seems very strong. I mean, it seems like it does the same thing. I don't have any other quartz watches right now. I don't have any lower end, cheaper quartz, so I can't speak for them. But this one seems to have that full, clean stop. But I had never noticed what you were talking about before, that some quartz movements don't do that. Anyways, so yeah, I was inspired by Don to give this. Everyone watching this wants to know how I feel about my collection at all times. I'm actually wearing the black quartz Seamaster. I was a little inspired by Don Haynes's video of his new beautiful Grand Seiko, which is a quartz. And watch, I've kind of put this on the back burner because I love this watch, but you know, I was considering it as one of the watches I was going to put up for sale, and I haven't done so, and I'm really torn on it, so I'm not going to put it up for sale for now. It's such a comfortable, cool, simple piece, and I don't have any other black, you know. But by the way, Don, if you're watching this, you were saying that the Seiko quartz movement, it's very clear. It stops and then it goes and it goes. Like each second is a full stop. And I don't know if this is also a high-end quartz movement, but I don't notice any